We will start with the opening prayers. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vitvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Dayakaram Dayakaram Dantam Dharma Pravartakam Pranamami Dayanandam Madacharya-varam param. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. We'll also chant the verse from Guru Stotram. The second verse, Ajnana Timirandasya. Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So welcome back to our Gita session. And we are doing a marathon Gita. The first chapter is definitely a marathon. And it is more like storytelling. So if you know Mahabharata stories, you can relate. If you don't know, then just follow until we get to the actual teachings, because I am not going into a lot of depth to the stories. So let us begin with I think we were on the 6th verse, right? Let me just find the verse, sorry. Yeah, so we can chant up to the 6th verse of the first chapter. Everybody at home can also chant along. Om Atha, verse 6. Om, but we'll start from beginning. Om Atha Prathamodhyayaha Arjuna Vishada Yogaha Dhritarashtra Uvacha Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre Samavetayu-yutsavaha Mamakaf Pandavaschaiva Kimakurvata Sanjaya. Sanjaya Uvacha Drishtva tu Pandavanikam Vyudham Duryodhanastada Acharyamupasangamya Raja Vachanam Abravit Pashyetam Panduputranam Acharya Mahatin Chamum Vyudham Drupada Putrena Tava Shishyena Dhimata Atra Shura Maheshwasaha Bhimarjuna Samayudhi Yuyudhano Viratascha Drupadascha Maharataha Drishtaketuschekitanaha Kashirajascha Viryavan Purujit Kunti Bhojascha Shaibhyascha Narapungavaha Yudamanyuscha Vikrantaha Uttamaujascha Viryavan Saubhadro Draupadeyascha Sarva Eva Maharathaha. So we had reached this point where Duryodhana had approached Drona on the battlefield. Drona being one of his commanders-in-chief. Bhishma is the main commander-in-chief of the Kaurava army. The Kauravas are the baddies. If we want to divide the world into two, they're the baddies, and the Pandavas are the goodies. So this Kaurava army, Dronacharya is the teacher of archery of actually both the Pandavas and the Kauravas. He was a highly respected guru, teacher in the whole clan. And he approaches him and he tells him about the other side, all the warriors on the other side. And you can see his trepidation and his anxiety arising. He knows he is not doing the right thing. That is why fear arises sometimes when we know we are not doing the right thing. And there's a lot of slips of his tongue as well. You see throughout the next few verses, these Freudian slips he does off and on here. So now what he wants to show is that our warriors also are great. So let us see who we have. They are of equal caliber. He wants to convince himself. So he says in the 7th verse, Asmakam tu vishishtaye tani bodhadvijottama nayaka mama sayyasya sanyartam tan bravimite. So now he lists important people in his army. Asmakam vishishtaha nayakaha mama sayyasya. We also have great people who are worth talking about. They are commanders, great commanders, asmakam, amongst our warriors, vishishtaha, who are extremely prominent in the art of fighting. So again, he's trying to get Drona to engage in the war. He wants to also take his validation before beginning the battle. And because of his anxiety, as I said, he addresses Drona, which is a very important, word, revealing word, Dvijottama. Dvijottama means twice born. So, different, we don't call them castes, they're called varnas. So we'll see in the Gita, there is no such thing as caste system. It is varna, which is division of people according to their qualities and their karma, according to their activities. So Dvijottama actually refers to the Brahmana, the karma, Brahmana guna, Brahmana quality. What is this Brahmana quality? One which does not fight. Dvijottama is actually invoking that soft character in Drona. He wants to, he wants the warrior Drona to come out, but unfortunately he remembers Dronacharya is a Brahmin. So Brahmins generally don't fight. And unfortunately, Duryodhana has reminded Drona he's actually not meant to be on the battlefield. He has done the opposite of what he wanted to do because of his, again, anxiety. So Duryodhana calls him Dvijottama, the twice-born one, Tan Nibodha. Let me tell you about the warriors on our side. Samnyartam te tan bravimi. This is just for your information. You already know all of them, but let us see who are the special people on our side. And he enumerates in the next verse, he says, Bhavan Bhishmascha Karnascha Kripascha Samitinjayaha Ashwattama Vikarnascha Saumadittastataivacha. So there are two readings here. There is a reading, both are correct actually. Here in the book, Ashwattama Vikarnascha Saumadattirjayatrataha. That is also correct. Tataivacha, you will also see in some books. So Bhavan, he's saying, your honor. Bhavan is a polite form of you. You have in some languages like vous in French, your honor, your respectful honor. And again, he's giving Drona importance. He wants to encourage him to, actively participate in this battle. And he says to him, you're playing a key role with this Bhavan. He's revealing to him, you have a key role in this war, winning this war. So Bhishmaha Samitinjayaha is on our side. Bhishmaha is, as I said, the grand sire of both the Kauravas and Pandavas. And he is known for his extreme vows. And one of the vows he has taken is to protect the king of Hastinapura. Hastinapura is the kingdom they are fighting for. So Hastinapura, right now, Duryodhana and his side are ruling. So Bhishma does not look at whether they are given to good or wrong action. He has vowed, I will protect whoever is on the throne of Hastinapura. So Bhishma is invincible. He is Samitinjayaha, means ever victorious in war. We saw that he also has the great boon of leaving his body when at will. So we see that in the Mahabharata also, Ichcha Mrityuhu. So Samitinjayaha, Duryodhana uses this adjective to describe him, the one who has never been defeated in the war. Again, to encourage the strength in Drona. And we also have Karna. Karna, as I said, one of the tragic heroes we saw in the meditation verses of Gita. His name had come up. And his story is a very tragic story. He is actually the offspring of the Lord's son. And very great personality, a great giver. He could give anything away to anyone, anytime. He was blessed actually with these earrings, golden earrings and golden armor, which would have made him invincible. But Indra, who is the lord of the gods, was very jealous of this. So there's a big story here, but just to cut it short, he disguised himself as a Brahmin, approached Karna, and he asked for this as charity. So Karna would, as literally would give the shirt off his back, that type of personality he was. But it was for why? Mainly because he wanted to feel accepted. All his life, he grew up not feeling acceptable to himself nor accepted. He grew up in a charioteer's family. Something in him knew he was greater than this, but he felt always that smallness triggered. So by giving, and wanting to feel accepted by others through his charity, he thought he could validate himself. But he dies off also quite tragically. Very interesting character to examine if you study Mahabharata. Kripaha, Kripacharya, he says, here also listed, teacher of the Pandavas. He is, again, he knew great branches of Dhanurveda, of archery. So he was actually the guru before Drona came into the picture. Ashwathama is the son of Drona. And, he is known in the Mahabharata for stealthily slaughtering all of the Pandavas' children in a single night, Ashwathama. So he went against the rules of war, and that was what he was known for. Also a great warrior. Vikarna is also mentioned on this side. Vikarna is actually Duryodhana's own brother, but he is like, if you've read Ramayana, also another great text, very 25,000 verses, the story of Lord Rama. There, Ravana, who is the demon king, has a brother called Vibhishana. It is interesting, born in the same family, but totally different characteristics. Vibhishana is given to devotion, given to values. He's living in the land of demons, but worshipping Rama and an extremely good person. So even these stories show that, offspring may come from the same source, but they can have totally different qualities depending on prarabdha, your karma, what you're born with. So Vikarna was somebody like this. His unfortunate prarabdha was to be born as the brother of Duryodhana, as one of the Kauravas, but he warned Duryodhana against the battle. He advised Duryodhana against fighting the war. Of course, his advice also goes unheeded, but he's still loyal to his brother. So blood is thicker than water, actually. So he is on this side. Now Duryodhana again makes another Freudian slip, showing that they will ultimately lose the war. In the next verse, he says, Anye cha bahava shuraha madarte tyakta jivitaha nana shastra praharanaha sarve yuddha visharadaha. He says, Anye cha bahava shuraha. I have listed only a few, but there are so many powerful warriors on our side. And who are these warriors? He says, Madarte tyakta jivitaha. And this is very revealing because tyakta jivitaha, for those who know some Sanskrit, he is using in the past tense. Past tense means they have already died. They have given up their lives. Already, they have given up the lives for my sake. Tyakta jivitaha literally means only dead bodies are fighting. So he lets that, he lets that out, his mind. These are all bad omens coming out in his speech. And nana shastra praharanaha. These people on our side are equipped also with 2 types of weapons. So very interesting. In those times, they had 2 types of weapons. Shastra was a weapon held in the hand, used to fight and not released from the hand. So shastras are swords, mace, knife, daggers, spears. Spears are released, but clubs, something like that. Shastra. Praharanaha are called astras. Astras, the other type of weapon, which are mantra-powered missiles. So in those times, they used to have missiles just invoked through chanting of a mantra. So all these warriors had these powers, not just carrying these, physical objects, but they could invoke a lot of these missiles through mantras. Sarve yuddha visharadaha. They're all expert on our side in warfare. They're all great experts in fighting battles. And now he continues to compare both armies, trying to build up confidence in himself and also in his commanders-in-chief. He says, Aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhishmabhirakshitam paryaptam twidame tesham balam bhimabhirakshitam. So there are 2 readings of this verse. I will take the reading of this verse. I will take what Swami Dayananda has given. But you may find another translation of this verse, but Swamiji didn't accept the other way of unfolding. So I will follow Swamiji's way. Aparyaptam means more than enough, immeasurable, adequate. What is more than enough? Tat asmakam balam, our strength, our army is more than enough because it is guided and commanded by Bhishma Bhirakshitam. We have Bhishma protecting us. That is our strength. He is the one on our side. He is the great, and including Bhishma also includes Drona here. They are the 2 banks of the river we saw in the Dhyana shlokas. They are the ones who can guide this river of battle. So he says, Bhishma Bhirakshitam, that is our strength. We have greater armies than the Pandava side. Tu idam twidedam balam etesham bhima bhirakshitam paryaptam. And he says, I still feel their army is less powerful, even if Bhima is there. You see, Duryodhana has this thing with Bhima from birth. He is, of all the Pandavas, he has this enmity with Bhima. Bhima keeps coming up. And in fact, he's obsessed with Bhima because also somewhere in his subconscious, he knows Bhima will be ultimately responsible for his death. Bhima is the one who kills Duryodhana in the Mahabharata. And Bhima vows in the court of Draupadi, in the court where Draupadi who is the wife of the 5 Pandavas. She's being disrobed and dishonored in front of all the great warriors. And he vows there itself, I will murder this Duryodhana, I will kill him for this. So he actually gets his revenge. And you can see in Duryodhana's language in the verses, he is very scared of Bhima. So he's now, in the next verse, Duryodhana gives a command to the whole army. He says, Ayaneshu cha sarveshu yatha bhagamavastitaha Bhishmam eva bhirakshantu bhavantas sarva evahi. Sarveshu ayaneshu means that in all the formations, in all the strategic points, yatha bhagam avastita. Yatha bhagam avastita means remaining wherever you are. Don't run away. Yatha bhagam avastita. Stay where you are in all the formation. And he gives the command, Bhishmam eva hi abhirakshantu. Protect Bhishma at all costs. Protect Bhishma and Drona at all costs, because he is very clear, our victory depends on these two warriors alone. They are the greatest of warriors. Bhavantaha sarve. All of you respectively do this, because he knows Bhishma he's the one who has never lost a battle, and he is the one who will be able to win this war for the Kauravas. If Bhishma goes, Kaurava army also goes. So from verse 3 to 12, Duryodhana has been speaking about all the armies. But now in the next verse, Sanjaya takes over. See, Bhishma, in the next verse, we hear Bhishma sees the fear in Duryodhana. He sees the rising fear and, all the slips he makes when he talks. He wants to motivate him and inspire him, because he has sworn allegiance and loyalty to the Hastinapura king. So he wants to still give his all to fight the war, and he has taken that vow. So what he does next, he blows his conch. He makes a huge noise. The next verse says, Tasya sanjanayan harsham Kuru vriddaf pitamaha simhanadam vinadyochehi shankam dadmau pratapavan. So Sanjaya is narrating now to Dhritarashtra. Duryodhana's fear, we can see, has started to surface, and you can see that very clearly in the past verses. So his fear is because he is transgressing dharma. And because he is transgressing dharma, inner fear, inner conflict is created. So this, again, tasya sanjanayan harsham, this Bhishma, what he does is to bring cheer to Duryodhana's heart. He creates some joy in the mind of Duryodhana with this next action. He creates, some change of mood. Kuru vriddaha pitamaha means eldest amongst the Kurus. Kuru vriddaha means eldest amongst the Kurus, the great grandfather, the most elderly person. What did he do? Uchchehi simhanadam vinadya. He let out a great battle cry. You say war cry, battle cry. Uchchehi simhanadam, like the sound of a lion. Simhanadam means the sound of a lion. Roar, lions roar. Sometimes, when people, you see in the Olympics as well, especially weightlifters, when they're lifting the weight, they will just, to just increase the energy and the fear in everybody. It's quite frightening, the noises that athletes make sometimes, just to rile themselves up, right? So in the same way, to rile up everybody for the battle and instill the confidence in the leader of that camp, Duryodhana, he let out a huge war cry. And Pratapavan, he shankam dadmau, he blew his conch. So whoever blows the conch, they declare war. So in those days, the conch, now conch is used for also a very, pujas, prayers. In just recent retreat I had in Mauritius, was very beautiful. They have, I don't know, a few of them have this practice because the ashram is right on the beach, very beautiful. Early morning, they would arise, and on the beach, you see a lot of people blowing conches as the sun would rise on the water. It was such a beautiful thing. So conch is actually an auspicious sound. In the context of battle, it is not so auspicious because it heralds the start of all the fighting and bloodshed. So Shankam Dadmau means that he declares war. Bhishma declares it because Duryodhana is still talking. So he says, come on, let's get on with it. So soon as, maybe you can keep the questions, written. That will be easier. And we will definitely answer all the questions, in the Q&A, or we can do it if I'm, I have some time after the class. So just keep, whoever has questions, just keep it written. So when Bhishma blows the conch, all the other people in the Kaurava army also started making noise. So they all started, blowing the conch, and there's a huge din on the battlefield. And that is said in the next verse, Tata Shankascha Bhiryascha Panavanaka Gomukha Sahasevyabhyahanyanta Sashabdastumulo Bhavat. You can imagine now, being on the battlefield. You can visualize yourself. Tataha Shankas Chaberyas, kettle drums, all different types of drums, tabors and cow horns, Gomukhaha, Panavaka Gomukhaha. So all of this, suddenly the whole Kaurava army starts blowing everything. Sahasa eva abhyahanyanta. Immediately, as soon as Bhishma blew the first conch of battle, everybody, like, football fans, I think in stadium, one person starts, they all start. And tumalo bhavat. So, sashabdas tumalo bhavat. Tumultuous noise. They have announced their readiness for battle. Tumaloho is a very interesting Sanskrit word. Maybe tumultuous comes from tumaloho, Tumalaha is tumultuous, actually, same thing. So you can all imagine that sound now coming out simultaneously. Abhyahanyanta sahasa means simultaneously, all at once. So the Pandavas now have to respond, because the rules of battle is that, or not only one side announces the war, once the one side is announced, the other side responds. So now, like Sanjay, like panning camera, his vision turns from the Kaurava camp to the Pandava camp. And what happens there? Tatashvaiter hayer yukte mahatisyandane stito madava Pandavascheva Divyo Shankho Pradadmatuhu. So he's like panning a film scene. Tataha Shveiter Hayer Yukte. So he sees Arjuna's chariot, the horses of Arjuna's chariot, Shvetehi Hayehi, which are all white horses. White is always symbolic in many cultures for purity. White is symbolic for sattva, that guna of goodness, of truth. So he's also showing Sanjaya, why is he particularly pointing out white horses? Is to say, these people are given to goodness. These people even their horses are white. They're given to purity. Mahati syandane stito. So he actually pans first to Arjuna's chariot. Mahati Syandane Stito means where both the friends were seated, where both the friends are Arjuna and Krishna. And Arjuna's, all these chariots and weapons, each one has a history. That's the interesting thing. We could spend a whole class on the names of the conches and the conch history and the chariot history. But this particular chariot that Arjuna is sitting on was actually donated by the fire god, Agni, to Arjuna. So it is donated by a demigod, and it is capable of conquering all the three worlds. So even the chariot is divine here, divine chariot. And interestingly, in the war, Mahabharata, Krishna asks, when Krishna saves Arjuna's life, he asks him to step off the chariot, and the chariot blows up. So the chariot actually goes back to Agni. That's why it is consumed by fire. It comes from fire, it goes back to fire. So even Arjuna's chariot reveals divinity. And seated on the chariot, he says, are Madhavaha and Pandavaha, referring to Arjuna and Krishna. So out of reverence and respect, the Pandavas' side waited for Krishna to begin the conch blowing. They did not blow themselves, even though they heard this great noise from the Kaurava camp. Any one of them could have started the conch blowing and the noise, but they did not, because they knew Divyo Shanko Pradat Matuhu. This divine conch of Krishna's will herald victory for the Pandava side. So what did Krishna do? He made, next verse will say, Krishna blew his very special conch, his divine conch. He made the sound produced. This conch sound is the conch of Vishnu. So Panchajanyam Hrishikeshaha Devadattam Dhananjayaha Poundram Dadmo Mahashankam Bhimakarma Vrikodaraha. So now Bhagavan begins his conch blowing, and he is referred to as Rishikeshaha. You'll see throughout the Gita, they are referred to, Arjuna and Krishna referred to by various names indicating their qualities. Rishikeshaha is a very beautiful name for Krishna. Rishinam Keshaha. So Rishinam, this is amongst the sense organs. Rishikanam Ishaha. Rishikanam Ishaha. He is the Lord of the senses. He is the Lord of the sense powers. He is in control of his mind. He is master of his senses and mind. So Rishikanam Ishaha, Rishikeshaha. And Dhananjaya is a name given for Arjuna. In this verse, Dhanam Jayati iti Dhananjaya, the one who has amassed immense wealth, is called Dhananjaya. So wealth of knowledge, wealth also in other ways, skills, talents, Dhananjayaha. Bhima in this verse is called Vrikodaraha. So I'm just going through the names given for various characters. Bhima is the most powerful of the Pandavas, the one with great strength. And he is called in this world Vrikodaraha, which is interesting. He used to love to eat. So although he was very fit, he was never fat, Bhima would make anybody jealous, actually. He could eat, and still remain thin and slim and very nice looking. And this word, Vrikodaraha, to describe him, says that because Vrikaha means wolf, Udara means stomach. So he's wolf-bellied. So wolves are never satisfied, however much they eat. They eat large quantities of food, but if you look at a wolf's stomach, it will always be inverted. It will not be out. Wolf-bellied, it will always look thin. So this is the same with Bhima. He's called Vrikodaraha because he is not fat. He eats a lot, but he still remains thin. Bhima Karma also. Bhima Karma is, terrible deeds. So he is Bhayankara, causes fear wherever he goes. He is an extremely strong and huge personality, Bhima. And in the 1 year of Ajñātavasa, when they were in the forest, they went to the Virata kingdom. He was, they had to remain in disguise. So interestingly, what did he disguise himself as he was the cook of the king. So he went to, he went to cook for the king. And Nakula, his brother, also was a great cook. Both of them were known for great chefs. But Nakula could only make food for a small group of people. Bhima could cook for masses. So that was the difference. And sometimes when somebody is a very good cook, in India, we say, as a compliment, they have, Bhima Pakaha. He has that ability, Bhima Pakaha, to cook like Bhima, because he was a great cook. So here, Bhima Karma means, here it means of one of terrible deeds, not talking about the cooking. His cooking was excellent, by the way. So all these conches now, particular type of conches blown by the Pandavas side, are all listed. So first we start with Rishikeshaha Panchajanyam Pradadmau. So Bhagavan, Krishna, began the battle cry, the call to war for his side by blowing this Panchajanyam. And Panchajanyam is a divine conch, and anytime it is blown, it is the foreshadower of death of the opponent. So even that must have scared the opposite side. Devadattam Dhananjayaha Pradadmau. So Arjuna, Devadattam, he's called Devadattam here. Devadatta is the name of the conch. Dhananjayaha is Arjuna. He blows his conch called Devadatta. Devadatta is also, it's a gift from one of the demigods of, the demigod of waters, Varuna. So this conch that Arjuna had is not an ordinary conch either. It is given by the Lord of the waters, Lord Varuna. And then Poundram Dadmau Mahashankam Bhima Karma Vrikodaraha. Bhima's conch also made a terrifying, terrific noise. And Bhima, is actually the son of the wind god. So you can imagine huge lung capacity. If you're a son of the wind god, you will have a huge lung capacity. And it must have terrified the Kauravas when they heard, Bhima also blowing his conch. Now Vyasa, who is writing these verses, goes on to mention more conch blowing and the names of the conches. We will continue. Ananta Vijayam Rajaha Kunti Putro Yudhishthiraha Nakulas Sahadevascha Sugoshamani Pushpakau Kashyascha Parameshwasaha Shikhandi cha Maharataha Drishtadyumno Viratascha Satyakischa Parajitaha Drupado Draupadeyascha Sarvashah Prithivipate Saubhadrascha Mahabahu Shankan Dadmuf Pritak. So in these verses, we'll go through very quickly. Sanjay is narrating the scene to Dhritarashtra. He calls him Prithivi Pate, the ruler of the earth. So Yudhishthira, the eldest of the Pandavas, is addressed by Sanjaya as Raja. So even Sanjaya, who is narrating to Dhritarashtra, the blind king, is calling Yudhishthira, the Pandava, on the Pandava side, Raja already. He's calling him king. Ananta Vijayam, his conch is called Ananta Vijayam. All the conches have names, and very beautiful name means eternally victorious, eternally victorious, always bringing success. And Nakula, Sahadeva, these are the Pandavas. They had their own, conches, Sugosha. Sugosha is the one with the pleasant sound. Mani Pushpaka means the jewel, money is jewel. So Pushpaka means the jewel, the vessel with many jewels. So his conch, they're describing the different types of conches. Kashyascha Parameshwasaha, the king of Kashi, and he also starts his battle cry. Shikhandi cha Maharataha. So Shikhandi is a very interesting character, the original transgender we had already in Mahabharata. already changed sex, sometimes. So here, because of the sex that was adopted by Shikandi, Bhishma was brought down, actually. So Shikandi was instrumental in the Kauravas losing the battle, because Shikandi, again, a very, very long story. I won't go into that. It's very interesting as well. But Shikandi was responsible for the death of Bhishma, indirectly responsible. So Shikandi is a Maharataha. Maharataha means, again, one of those warriors that can fight up to 10,000 chariots on the opposing side. So Drishtadhyumno Viratascha Satyakischa Parajitaha. Another name, Drishtadhyumnaha, commander-in-chief of the Pandava army. He also blew his conch. Great warrior. Satyaki, again, all these warriors. Drupadaha, Draupadeya, Saubhadrascha. Saubhadra is another name for Abhimanyu. So I'm using all this. Some of you know Mahabharata, so you just know Saubhadra. Subhadra's son is called Saubhadra, Taddita. So Saubhadra's Abhimanyu, Sarvashas Shankam Dadmo Pritak Pritak. So on all sides, each and in turn, they created the sound together. Pritak Pritak means one after another, each in turn, they started raising this huge commotion. And the next verse describes this sound that they created, the noise of the Pandavas blowing their conches. He says, Sagoshodhartarashtranam hridayani vyadarayat nabashta pritivin chaiva tumalo vyanunadayan. Sagosho tumalo vyanunadayan. Sanjaya tells Dhritarashtra, the sound of the conches, again, tumalo, tumultuous sound, warning of doom for the Kauravas. Nabashcha pritivin chaiva. He didn't describe the Kaurava conch blowing like this. He is explaining how, the heavens are shaken. Prithvi is shaken. Nabashcha pritivin chaiva. The earth and the skies are resounding with this huge noise. Dhartarashtranam hridayani vyadharayat. He also explains how this noise tore open the hearts of the Kauravas, which created the fear in Duryodhana and his clan. It was that loud. All their cortisol and adrenaline levels must have really risen hearing the conch blowing, of the Pandavas. And, again, this is very, very interesting, because even Sanjaya, he is showing the might of the Pandavas to the blind king. He wants, at this moment, the blind king can still make the decision. In fact, it's Dhritarashtra who is instrumental for this war. He could have easily told Duryodhana, his son, to avoid the battle. But he was also greedy. He wanted to have the throne. He knew it is not his rightful place. But again, greed, power, name, nothing changes in the world. It's always the same. People fight for power and all of this, prestige, pomp, pelf, all of this, and they think that will give them fullness. But we all know, having come to Vedanta, however much we achieve, fullness is not in that direction. So here, it's very interesting that the sound is described so much in the Bhagavad Gītā. Because sound is a very important thing in our lives. As human beings, we can change through hearing the sound. Sounds can create different emotions in our mind. Psychologically, it can trigger a lot of things. That's why mantra chanting, japa, all of this becomes an important part of our sadhana in spiritual life. Singing, bhajan, all of this. It can transmute the mind stuff and also the physical body. So you can see here, people, the Kauravas, because of the sound, they are all as Sanjaya explains, their hearts are torn open. He uses that word, the words in Sanskrit. And in the next verse, there is a turning point. It is a very important verse of the first chapter, indicated by the first word, atha. So what happens in the next verse? Atha vyavastitan drishtva dhartarashtran kapidvajaha pravritte shastra sampate dhanurudyamya pandavaha rishikesham tada vakyam idamaha mahipate. So now the attendance register of the battle concludes with the 19th verse. And we now begin the change of direction of the Gita. And the change of direction of the Gita is also associated with the change of direction of Arjuna's chariot. So atha, when you see that word atha in any of the texts, it means then, thereafter, but it always indicates a positive change of topic in the text. It is a turning point for the good. And what happens here? It is really Ishvara inside Arjuna's head. He creates a thought in Arjuna's head which changes the course of the story. And because of this atha, the necessity of the Gita's teachings come into the picture. If Gita had stopped with this 19th verse, the battle would have been fought and there would have been no teaching. But the 20th verse shifts the whole storyline, so the teaching comes into the picture. So, vyavavstitan drishtva dhartarashtran, Arjuna's eyes falls on the Kaurava army, and he had a good look at all of them together. As I said, when we look at, from a distance, when we look at people all together, it's like a big mass. We have no issues dealing with big masses, right? Our issues are always dealing with individuals. So even in our lives, we see that. I can love the whole of, as I said, whole of any country, Iceland. I can say I love the people of Iceland because I don't know people of Iceland. So I can love people anywhere because I don't know them. So we are very good with dealing with mass, but not individuals. So here, the same way, Arjuna wanted to see the Kaurava side clearer. That thought was put in his head by whom? So we'll see that. But on his chariot in this verse, there is also another interesting thing that's mentioned, Kapidvajaha. Kapidvajaha means that he had those chariots always had flags. So Kapidvajaha is referring to Arjuna, but it is referring to Arjuna as the one who had a Vanara, a monkey man sitting on the flag. And this is a very special flag because it is not ordinary monkey god, it is Hanumanji. Hanuman is there sitting on Arjuna's flag and he is watching the battle. So Arjuna was given a boon by Hanumanji, who is a very strong deity. He is the one that, we pray to for a lot of strength, a lot of balam, a lot of dhairyam, courage, strength and courage. So it is very interesting that he is sitting on Arjuna's flag. Arjuna's been given the boon. And it's said in other texts that actually Hanuman, this is by the side, by the way, so just interesting. Hanuman had actually said in some other texts that he was sleeping most of the time. So even though he was on the flag, he was sleeping. And he only woke up in the most prominent battles. That is with Bhishma. When Bhishma fought, he was there. He was going to bless the war. And when Abhimanyu fought, he also was awake. So there was only some particular battles that he woke up for. Otherwise, he was just still, he was Sakshi watching the battle. So anyway, this verse brings in Hanumanji as well, there in the battle, blessing the whole battlefield. And some people may wonder, how is Hanuman there in this Dwapara Yuga in the Mahabharata when he was in the Ramayana times, which happened long time before Mahabharata? So Hanuman is considered a Chiranjeevi. is an eternal, soul, eternal jiva. These reappear, these Chiranjeevis, there are 8 of them. I won't go into that again, but you just for your information, they reappear in all the cycles of creation. So they don't ever get resolved. They don't go into unmanifest condition. They are always in all these cycles of creation. They keep coming up. And Hanuman is one of them. Vyasa is also one of them. So he's also considered Chiranjeevi. So anyway, here, Kapidwajaha refers to him. Sanjaya now says, Mahipate, talking to the blind king, Pravritte Shastra Sampate, just as the battle is about to begin, just as the arrows were about to get discharged, what does Arjuna do? He presses the pause button. He presses pause for the war. He has a sudden thought. And, it's very interesting. Sometimes these sudden thoughts we may have in our lives, they are promptings of Ishvara. Don't ignore sudden thoughts. When something suddenly comes up, it's totally out of the blue, examine it. See what the message is for you. So it is Ishvara prompting Arjuna from within, because he wants his whole play of Gita to be manifest. So if that thought did not come, Gita would not come. So Arjuna, Danur Udyama Pandavaha, just as the noise was reaching the crescendo, he raises his bow to stop. Wait, don't shoot either side. And because in those days they had rules, even though they did not like each other, they had rules of war. So when somebody was not ready, they would not start. So he says, sometimes you see these bowlers in the cricket pitches, they're pacing down the pitch trying to bowl, and suddenly they stop. So it's just like that. He stops, not ready. Rishikesham tadavakyam idamaha. Turning to the master of the senses, Rishikesha, Rishikanam Ishaha, Arjuna speaks the following words. He says, Arjuna uvacha senayor ubhayor madhye ratham stapaya mechuta yavadeta niriksheham yodhukkamanavastitan kairmaya saha yodhavyam asmin ranasamudyame. So what does he say? See, he is in a position. Krishna has taken up the role as his charioteer, and he is in a position where he can command Krishna. You can imagine, the Lord himself is charioteer for him, and he is commanding Krishna because of devotion. A devotee can command the Lord to do anything, because you tie up the Lord through devotion. So, Senayor Ubayor Madde Ratam Stapaya Mechuta. He asks Krishna to place the chariot in the middle of the battlefield because he wants to see the opposing side. So now he's humanizing the war. Before it was just a mass of beings there and he did not see faces. But now he says, Yavadetan niriksheham yodukaman avastitan. I want to see the warriors arrayed for this battle. And interesting, he says, Kaihi maya sahayodavyam asmin rana samudyame, which means he doesn't say, who are the people I have to fight against? Who are the people with whom I have to fight? He doesn't say it like that. He says, who are those people who want to fight with me? I want to see those people who want to fight with me. That is also a revealing statement because war is thrust upon him. He doesn't really want to fight this battle. He shows his reluctance. And even if that's why Bhishma was the one who blew the conch first. It was not the Pandavas that started. They started the war. So very, beautifully, it shows his words that he is not really ready for this, what he has to do. And he calls Krishna by a beautiful name, Achyuta. Achyuta, sometimes we say it's one of the Namatraya the purifying mantras. Om Achyutaya Namaha, Om Anantaya Namaha, Om Govindaya Namaha. Achyuta means infallible. Nachyuti iti Achyuta, the one who never falls into samsara, the one who is ever liberated, ever free is Achyuta. The one who knows his absolute existence as Satchit Ananda is Achyuta. Very beautiful word for Krishna. And you see, even though he commands Krishna to be in the middle of the battlefield, he calls him by Achyuta, showing his great, great respect for the Lord. So now we'll see in the next verses from 23. I've gone, as like a story going through quickly, but it's interesting to see the flow of the Gita also like this. And we will see how his mind starts slowly slipping away, starts getting into delusion, not being able to see things clearly. We'll see that in the next session we meet. I think this session, let us take some time to chant up to this 23, because it is beautiful to also chant the Gita verses as you recall some of the meanings also. Some of these main points you can recall as we chant. So I will be giving a full recording of the first chapter after we finish it. So after each chapter, we will be giving full recording, but you can practice with the recording. But this class also, at the end of the class, I will chant the verses that we have seen. But in this chapter, we'll chant from verse 7, because we've already chanted 6. Asmakam tu vishishtaye tanibodadvijottama Nayaka mama sayyasya sanyartham tan brevimite Bhavan bhishmascha karnascha kripascha samitinjayaha Ashwathama vikarnascha Saumadattirjayadratah Anye cha bahava shuraha madarte tyaktajivitaha nana shastra praharanaha sarve yuddha visharadaha aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhishmabhirakshitam Paryaptam tvidame balam bhima bhirakshitam ayaneshu cha sarveshu yatha bhagamavastitaha bhishmam eva bhirakshantu bhavantas sarva eva hi tasya sanjanayan harsham kuru vriddha Pitamaha Simhanadam vinadyochehi Shankam dadmo pratapavan Tata shankascha bhiryascha Panavanaka gomukaha Sahasevyabhyahanyanta Sashabdastu mulo bhavat Tatashvaitairhayair mahatisyandane stito madavav pandavaschaiva divyo shanko pradadmatuhu panchajanyam rishikeshaha devadattam dhananjayaha Paundram dadmau mahashankam Bhimakarma vrikodaraha Ananta vijayam raja Kunti putro yudhishthiraha Nakulas sahadevascha Sugoshamani pushpakau Kashyascha parameshwasaha Shikhandi cha maharataha Drishtadyumno viratascha Satyakischa parajitaha Drupado Draupadeyascha Sarvashah Prithivipate Saubhadrascha Mahabahuhu Shankhan Dadmuh Pritak Pritak Sagoshodhartarashtranam Hridayani Vyadarayat Navascha Prithivin Chaiva Tumulo Vyanunadayan अथ व्यवस्थितान् दृष्ट्वा धार्तराष्ट्रान् कपिध्वजः प्रवृत्ते शस्त्रसम्पाते धनुरुद्यम्य पाण्डवः ऋषिकेशं तदा वाक्यम् इदमाह महीपते अर्जुन उवाच सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये रथं स्थापयमेच्युत यावदेतान्निरीक्षेऽहं योद्धुकामानवस्थितान् कैर्मया सह योद्धव्यम् अस्मिन् रणसमुद्यमे ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ Hari Om to all, Shubharatri. See you all to continue our marathon Thursday evening. Namaste.